This is the indie god, the deathmatch king, always ready, Matt Cardona, and you're watching Count It Out.
Take a walk around the world and keep your hands to yourself. To the point, 'cause you know I won't be listening long.
Well, we are live, pals, and welcome to another edition of the Bill After Seal of Approve. Count It Out with Mike and Tyler. My name is Tyler, and I am joined, as always, by the one and only Mike. I don't know.
Mike Light.
Mike Light.
Mike Light.
That's so fun. What's going on, dude? How are you?
I'm good, man. It's the week. It's the go home. This
Big
is
week.
It's the week right before WrestleMania. WrestleMania is in a couple days. My boss must hate me because he fucked up my schedule, so I can't watch night one live like I was supposed to. But I can watch night two live, and I'm very excited about that.
Yeah, I'm gonna. I got my
Have you
brother
seen the
coming
cards, though?
over.
I'm gonna be honest with you, man. I saw the two cards. Have you seen the two cards?
Yes, I have. I love them.
I love them both. I think I'm going to give the slight edge to night one, though.
I'm not going to disagree with you on that. Really quick, because we talked about WrestleMania a lot here. I want to cram a lot into a short period of time here because we have a special guest joining us,
Absolutely.
joining yourself shortly here. I'm unable to jump on the list this week, but tell us who we got joining us, and then I want to ask you a question about WrestleMania.
Well, it is our go home show. We wanted to end our WrestleMania series big. Who's the biggest name in WWE right now when it comes to WrestleMania season? And we're not talking about Cody. We got to go to The Rock. I'm bringing on Rock superfan, my good friend, your good friend, everyone's good friend. Matt Sookram is back on the show this week, and he and I are going to count down The Rock's greatest WrestleMania matches.
I was really looking forward to jumping on and doing this week, and my personal life got in the way, and I had to miss the list. So I'm really excited to hear what you guys have to say about that. Okay, let's bang into some news really quick here because first things first, I want to ask you, what match are you most looking forward to at WrestleMania? What do you think is going to steal the show?
I think it's going to be Cody Roman.
Yeah.
I think Cody Roman is. It has to be great. It has to at this point because if they're doing this whole stipulation thing. They're doing this thing with the tag match. Whoever wins the tag match gets to set the stipulation. I guess so. Now it's if Cody and Seth win, the bloodline doesn't get to be involved at all in the main event.
Yeah.
If the Rock and Roman win, it's bloodline rules. If you go to their Wikipedia page, if you go to the WrestleMania Wikipedia page, Bloodline Rules is actually highlighted, so you can click on it to see what that means. And all it does is it just links straight to no disqualification match.
Yeah.
So that's what it's probably going to end up being. It's just a way to get Rock involved in this match. Let's be honest. Like that's all it is, and that's fine.
I think it's going to be more than just Rock. I have a vision in my head, and tell me what you think about this. And that the Rock is down there. You know, the Seth has been taken out, the Usos are out, Solo's out, and it's the Rock and Roman hovering over Cody, and the glass breaks.
I'm thinking the same thing.
And we get one more Rock and Austin moment.
Except before the glass breaks, I think Cena comes out first.
Maybe.
I think Cena comes out, tries to save the day, just not getting there yet, and they still need that one more savior. They're still a little outnumbered. They need that one last savior. Then the glass breaks. I think we get because then we have all of Rock's, and I think Triple H gets involved at some point too.
I don't think we see Triple H.
You don't think so?
No, he doesn't. It makes no sense.
And then it could have made sense. It doesn't now, but it could have. I'm a little disappointed they dropped the ball on that. But then you get all of, except for Hogan, and Hogan won't be there. But except for Hogan, you have all of.
It's going to be in Philly.
He will be in Philly. All of his major opponents at WrestleMania, you'll have Austin there, you'll have Cena there. You know what I mean? So, I mean, I'm sure Rikishi will be there. They could get the Sultan out there. That'd be fun.
Did it for The Rock.
If yeah, there's so much that can make sense on so many fucking levels. Get Ken Shamrock out there. It's great.
My match that I'm most looking forward to right now is actually Becky and Rhea. I really am. I'm really excited for this match. I think it's got potential to steal the whole show. So I'm pumped up for that.
Now that these stipulations are set, I'm going back to what I said last week. I'm still pissed off because it just makes the whole Seth Rollins being involved in this tag match make no sense. Yeah. Why does Seth care? Why does Seth want to be involved in this? Seth has zero play in this. All he's doing is tiring himself out for Drew McIntyre. Yes. It makes no sense. Him being involved in this doesn't make sense. This is my only gripe with this storyline right now.
The man with a lot of buzz coming into this week, CM Punk.
Yeah.
CM Punk sat down with Ariel Helwani. I have listened to the first half of the interview. He just finished talking about the Jungle Boy stuff where I fell asleep.
I've read a lot of segments. I've seen a lot of segments. I started to listen to. I didn't get. I do plan on listening to the whole thing. Interesting stuff.
I think Punk really carries himself fantastic.
I think so too.
And because he tried not to talk about it, and Helwani pushed him.
Helwani pushed him on a lot of subjects that he didn't want to talk about. A lot of subjects.
And you could hear, like, there was a moment right before he got into the Jungle Boy stuff, because Helwani asked him about it, and Punk said, I really don't want to rehash this.
Yeah.
And Helwani said, you've never spoken about this publicly.
Yeah.
And there was this long pause, and you could tell he was like, I need to say my side of the story then.
Yeah.
But you could tell he didn't want to, you know what I mean? But
and it was the same thing when he brought up the Colt Cabana stuff.
Yeah.
He stopped and he's like, I don't want to do this again. But he did it. He was very professional. He could have easily told Helwani to fuck himself.
And Helwani did say that word for word as well. He said that a couple times.
Yeah. So he really could have. He didn't. He held himself. So far from what I've read, from what I've listened to, I'm really impressed with this interview so far. I don't say a whole lot of nice things about CM Punk, but I agree with a lot of the things he said.
Mm-hmm.
And even the things it's not that I don't agree. I just don't have a place to agree or disagree because I wasn't there. I don't work for AEW. It's right now, this is opinion based on his opinions of what he saw while working in AEW. So it has nothing to do with me agreeing or disagreeing. But the way that he talked about it, I have a lot of respect for him being honest. Did he bury Tony? Did he bury AEW a little bit?
Yeah.
But he
didn't do it in a malicious way.
No, he was just telling it how it went down, and this is the truth. This is my truth. This is what I know. Take it as it is, and I respect that. I do.
Yeah, he didn't punch somebody. He just kind of choked him a little bit. That made me laugh. The one takeaway that nobody will talk about from this interview that I would like to mention at least is how many times Punk wished AEW well. I hope they do well. I hope they do well. I have friends there. I hope they do well.
That's not hitting the reels now, is it?
No, absolutely not.
Yeah.
Absolutely not. Something that I think is hitting the reels, though. Your boy Matt Cardona. What a week!
Yeah, baby.
What a week for Matt Cardona. He's like,
what a week.
If we were to do a superstar of the week, he is my choice for that because
100%.
this guy
he's back in TNA for now, at least.
Mm-hmm.
Who knows how long, but for now he's back in TNA. Which I love seeing him in TNA. He's such a good fit for that product. And then of course we know he's not a big fan of coming here, but whenever he comes to Canada, he makes a fucking splash, man. He really does. And he hit Collision in London.
The week of Matt Cardona is incredible. Like TNA Wrestling, he did the run-in, helped Steph become the #1 contender for the Knockouts Championship.
Mhm.
On Friday, he had a match with Nick Nemeth, Dolph Ziggler,
Yeah.
in an indie promotion.
Yeah.
He was supposed to work Ultimo Dragon on Saturday, but he had the opportunity to go to AEW to work Adam Copeland instead. So
Mhm.
he drops the belt to Nick Nemeth, hops on a plane, comes to London, Ontario. Has a great match with Adam Copeland,
Yeah.
which meant a lot to him as well because they have that long history with the Edgeheads,
Yeah.
and he's been very open about how, and they've both been open with the admiration and respect that they have for each other. He said this was his dream match, and he got it. Tip of the cap to the indie god. He has definitely deserved and earned that moment.
For a guy myself who's never been a Zack Ryder fan, over the last 3 years, damn, have I become a Matt Cardona fan.
Absolutely.
Everything he does is just so good. People keep saying, is he going to go back to WWE? Is he going to go back to WWE? I'm at the point where I don't know if I want him to, because we won't get this guy that I've really fallen in love with.
You know what? I disagree with
But
that.
under the new management,
Mhm.
Triple H era, and yes, we're still and we will continue to be under the Triple H era. Please do not listen to that idiot Vince Russo. But thank you for coming on our show, Mr. Russo.
Bro,
Unbelievable, bro. It's so stupid. Anyways, we are under the Triple H era. Triple H is doing some great stuff, and Triple H is doing things much differently with his characters and with the things that he does traditionally than Vince would have done. And like look at the product right now. We're hearing the word wrestling a lot. Just saw blood on Monday Night Raw. We are seeing edgier content. Is it out of the realm of possibility to believe that he would allow Matt Cardona to come and do this?
a version of it? Yeah.
Maybe a WWE version of the Matt Cardona character. 100%, it could happen.
The last thing I want to talk about before we throw off to the list here, I want to talk about Cody Rhodes.
What do you want to talk about?
I see what you did there. I want to kind of put this out there for Cody, because Cody is such a great guy. Like, you see all the stuff that Cody Rhodes does
Sure.
for the fans. He's a man of the people, you know. He got asked to be the best man of somebody's wedding, and he said yes, and he's doing it. Bachelor party, everything. Cody Rhodes is doing that. The Wrestle Kids, right? He's doing this stuff where he's paying for this after school program. These kids that love wrestling and watch wrestling paid for the whole class to come to WrestleMania, put them up in a hotel room on his dime. Incredible thing to do. And just what he does, at house shows or when Raw goes off the air, he spends time and connects with the fans. Cody gives, Cody gives, Cody gives. So I want to put this out here, and I don't know if he will ever see this or not, but I'm going to try my best to get this to him. Cody Rhodes, we are appreciative of all the stuff that you do as fans. You've given us great moments. I have tremendous respect for him. The WWE is coming to Toronto for 3 nights in July for Money in the Bank, NXT, and SmackDown. I know for a fact that Cody Rhodes is a massive fan of amusement parks. And I know for a fact that he has never been to Canada's Wonderland here in Toronto.
The greatest amusement park in Canada is in our backyard.
So I would like to put the invitation for you and I, Mike, to take Cody Rhodes to Canada's Wonderland.
And I'll buy him a Cottage Springs.
Absolutely. Cody and Brandy, I would like to give you a formal invitation on behalf of Count It Out to say thank you for everything that you do for us. Let us fans do something for you.
You did not clear this with me before we came on.
No.
I'm hearing this for the first time and I'm loving every minute of it. I don't even know if this ride exists anymore, but I'm picturing myself on the bat with Cody Rhodes.
Bat still does exist. It does.
what a great idea. To give back to people, to somebody who gives so selflessly to the WWE universe, to the wrestling fan universe. Great idea. Great idea. I love that. I haven't been to Wonderland in years. If I'm going to go, I should go with my kids, but why not? Let's go with Cody Rhodes.
Well, I
Love
mean,
it.
kids can come, bring the wives, we'll bring the wives,
Mhm.
Brandy, we want the whole crew. But
Beautiful.
that's what I'm putting out there, and
Love it.
that's the last thing I have to say this week. You've got a list coming up right now.
I do. It's a great list. Curtain pulled back. I've already recorded it. We're going to a pre-recorded list with me and Matt Sookram. Uh, it's a great time. I can't wait for you to hear it because it's interesting. He throws me for a loop a little bit. I love it. I had a great time. Always a good time talking Matt Sookram.
Yeah, he's a great guy. He really is. So I guess on that note, I will say everybody enjoy WrestleMania. Stay tuned next week for a massive announcement coming to
I
you from
alluded
Cottage
to
Springs.
this in our list. I told you guys that next week you're going to start seeing us. We've been teasing the last few weeks about us rolling out really cool things in Count It Out. It all starts next week. And I cannot wait to record the show that we're going to do this for. I can't wait for you to hear it. Can't wait for you to be part of this. If you are a longtime listener, thank you so much. When you find it, this news out, you're gonna you're gonna be happy you've been here since day one. Please keep telling your friends about this. If you're a first time listener, if you hit one of the great reels that Tyler's been putting together, if you got through here through Instagram, through YouTube, doesn't matter. If you're here, you're here. Do me a favor, hit that subscribe button. So important to us, especially with the big news coming next week. Every number counts. We just hit 500 subscribers on YouTube, and we couldn't have done it without you guys. We need 500 more to make the show 10 times bigger, and we could just do so many really cool things for you guys. So please subscribe, like, share, all those great things.
Hell yeah.
Anything else to say before we throw it to Matt Sookram?
I'm excited to hear this as much as the rest of the people here. So I'll talk to you
All right,
guys next week, and you enjoy the rest of the show. Mike, take it away.
let's go to the list. All right, so we are jumping straight to the list now, and you'll see that my good friend Tyler has left, and he's been replaced by a much better looking model. Matthew Sookram, thank you for jumping on with us, buddy. Always a good time. I wish the three of us could have been together. It just didn't work out like that, but I'm glad you were able to jump on. I couldn't do this list with anybody else. I wouldn't do this list with anybody but you.
Well, as we used to say on the wrestling show, life happens, right?
Oh,
So,
yeah.
yeah, no, it's great to be here. Thanks so much for having me. And yeah, I'm excited to talk about The Rock.
Well, this is cool because like this is kind of a tradition. Like every time you were ever on the lasting mark,
That's
we
right.
we literally talked about The Rock for an hour or two.
That's exactly it. I know. And there was a
I think
couple
we did.
episodes where Danny and I just did like an entire like we're gonna take like 2 years of his career and just break it down.
I think that was originally supposed to be like a 3-part episode,
Yeah.
and then we did 2, and I think we got canceled. But but
Not because of anything we said.
no, well,
Or
I mean,
maybe because of everything we said.
unless like Adam's never flat out told me that he closed the network because of me and Danny, but it's always been assumed. It's always been a quiet thing in the group. Like everybody kind of quietly points their finger at me and Danny.
Well, I didn't tell you this, like when he was on as the guest host, whatever, about a month ago or
Yeah.
so on Counted Out. Like I was listening to it in the office, and for those that don't know, I sat basically across the hallway from TNA's intrepid reporter Adam Contant, and I was listening to it and just laughing hysterically, listening to you guys. and Adam was
Was
like,
it?
"What
Was
they
it?
say? What did
Yeah.
they say now?" And I can't even remember some of the stuff, you guys, but it was just like, man, it's like they haven't even missed a beat.
Yeah.
Like,
Was this the ropes to reels episode we did not too long ago?
no, this was you and Danny.
Oh, me and Dan. Oh, me
Oh,
and Dan.
the ropes to reels episode you and Adam did was fantastic, man.
Yeah,
Like I haven't seen Black Adam. You guys did not make me want to watch Black Adam, but you guys made me want to have more ropes to reels content. Like I loved hearing your guys' take on that movie, and yeah, it was fantastic. Great episode.
notice how he said he's not saying he wants more of Danny Parkhill on the show. No, I think that was the episode where I can't talk about this right now, but we have some important things coming up on the show in the next week or two that we will announce next week most likely. But there's big things happening with the show, and because of these big things, Tyler calls me up and he says, listen, I'm all good with you and Danny like doing your thing and Danny coming on. He goes, but with these things happening with the show, maybe you want to tone it down with the, and he used several expletive words that I'm trying to be good now, so I'm not going to use the words he said on the show. But there's a couple hard C words, and he says maybe you want to tone it down with that stuff from now on. I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
but I get it.
There's a time and a place.
Yeah. And then if I needed any more reason to censor myself, my son went to my wife and he says, "Can you please tell daddy to stop using naughty words in his podcast?" He goes,
No.
he says, "I want to listen to Count It Out with Mike and Tyler, but daddy says I'm not allowed because he uses naughty words."
You know what? Oh my gosh, that's gotta make you like that's
And
amazing though,
I
that
know
your kid wants to
he
hear
wants to
something
hear it.
you're creating.
Exactly. And he's obsessed with
Yeah.
it. He wears his little Count It Out t-shirt a lot.
Mm,
He always pretends to be me. He'll walk around with my hat and stuff like that, and he'll be like, "I'm Mike. Welcome to Count It Out."
that's
It's
amazing.
hilarious. So for him, I'm going to try to not swear as much on the show.
That's much better than when my kids hear me doing hockey commentary and go, Daddy knows they can see what's happening, right? Like his job is basically useless.
But your kids are like what? Your kids are like 9 now.
No, 6.
Your kids are.
They are
Why
just
did you
very
think your kids were?
sarcastic
Why
and
did
they take
you think
after my
your
wife a
kids were?
lot.
Okay, I mean that tracks. That tracks big
Yeah,
time.
yeah.
I don't know why I thought your kids are only a year older than my kids. I thought your kids were way older than my kid. Okay, well, so we both have smart asses for kids.
Yes. Yeah,
That's
essentially.
that's the story here. Well, speaking of the reason for the season, we are doing this is our last WrestleMania show. WrestleMania, this is our
Hmm.
go home show. The WrestleMania is this coming Saturday and Sunday. That's still so weird for me to say. Uh,
Yeah,
the
that's a
2 day
2 night
WrestleMania.
event. Yeah.
So much going on. And both nights are going to involve most likely the man of the hour, The Rock. We have him in the main event of night one in this tag match. And if they win, they being The Rock and Roman, then the stipulation for night two is bloodline rules. And if you look on Wikipedia, they have bloodline rules like highlighted. And if you click on bloodline rules and see what it means, it just goes straight to the page for no disqualification match. So I'm pretty sure that's all that is. It's just no disqualification.
Yeah.
Which we will learn doing this list tonight. 90% of the Rock's WrestleMania matches turn into no disqualification matches at the last minute, anyways.
Yeah.
So this is nothing new.
I was gonna say, what I really have loved about The Rock's current run is basically he is the new on-screen Vince McMahon. Because we know that he's part of the TKO board,
Yeah.
and he's basically going, guys, I run the show now. I'm going to do whatever I want.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to play this owner heel. Like, we've seen that throughout the course of WWE and wrestling history, right? With
Of course.
the asshole owner, but The Rock is just basically inserting himself into main events. He's basically taking a page out of what McMahon did during the course of Austin's run. Just doing it in his own way, and I'm loving it. It's been
Yeah.
so entertaining.
Yeah, well, just more F bombs and less shitting in people's hair. Uh, but no, I'm enjoying it for the most part. I do think, and we discussed this last week. I do think it's a little derivative. I'm kind of over the the swearing part of it. I think
Yeah,
he's kind of, and
the shock factor is worn off.
it really has, and he's
Yeah.
kind of become this one trick pony. I seen a meme not long ago that made me laugh because it's true. And it says that the Rock reminds me of a 5-year-old kid who just heard a naughty word for the first time and he won't stop saying it.
Yeah.
That's exactly what he has been for the last
But
several
he's
weeks.
smart. He's going to see that stuff and adapt.
Yeah,
And, I mean, basically, the entire WrestleMania main event changed because he
because he
saw
adapted.
what the reaction was. So they went, okay, let's go in this direction then.
This is a very unique build and very unique main event because, as we discussed on the show the last several weeks, this build has not been between the champion and the challenger. This has been between The Rock and the challenger.
Very
And
much like WrestleMania 15.
WrestleMania 15, I'm gonna guess we're gonna talk about today. All three of these builds are very different from each other, and by all three, I mean the trilogy that he had with Steve
Yep.
Austin. I'm sure we're gonna get there.
But
So
like we're saying with Rock currently, it's Rock versus Cody, but that's not
yeah,
even what the match is.
and that's and the funny thing is we're doing that twice because it's kind of the same thing with Drew and Punk. We're seeing more of Drew and Punk than we are Drew and Seth. Very strange, but nonetheless, I am excited for WrestleMania. The build for the majority of it has been great. The matches are great. The match cards are great.
Card looks
Uh,
awesome.
I,
It
I,
really does.
I don't know if I can sit through the whole thing, so I am glad it's split into 2 days.
Yeah.
But I am actually quite excited for WrestleMania this year. Which brings me, like I said, to our very last WrestleMania list. You are counting down. The list is all yours today, buddy. I put it all in your hands, and you are counting down The Rock's WrestleMania matches. Now, to my knowledge, he's only had 9. He had 11.
He did.
Wow.
7,
Wow.
8, 9, 10, 11. Yes.
Wow. Well, I know that. Yeah. Okay. That makes sense. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Yeah. Okay. Because 4 didn't make 4. Yeah. Okay. And the 4 that didn't make the list, I remember that because when I was trying to put a list together, 3 of them were like, well, they're not fucking making a list. And then I'm like, there's 6 good matches out of the 11. And then I'm like, out of the remaining 4, I got to find one that can fit on the fucking list. But so I think the most interesting match, as far as I'm concerned right now, the one I'm interested most to see what you chose will be your number 7.
So I gotta lay out my criteria here, and I actually found this list actually pretty hard to put together, ranking them in order. And I went back and forth on like, do I rank them in what is like technically the best match? Like I thought what is maybe, should I rank them on what, turned out to be the best matches for his career? I honestly just settled on here is my list on the ones that I like the best.
Oh
And
well,
I'm ordering them in the best rewatchability, if that's even a word.
I am all for that. I'm glad Tyler did not join us today. Tyler does not
Would
agree with.
he tear a hole in that?
No. Tyler has no heart. Tyler does not own a heart. Thus, he does not believe in making your lists with said heart. I make my lists purely out of emotion, and because that's why I watch wrestling. I watch wrestling for the emotion, for the heart of it, and
Hmm.
and Mr. Business Sense over here just sits there. He says, "Well, Did it draw? Did it make money? And he's checking
Yes.
off, and
Yes.
he's got
He's
his
Dave Meltzering his
yeah, 100%, 100%. He is Dave, like Dave Meltzer. Just this is the nicest thing I'll ever say about Tyler. Just not as much of a douchebag. So he he is almost incapable of doing a list of saying these are my favorites, because to him,
yeah.
it's like I got to put out what the best, the best. I'm like, well,
Yeah.
but in my brain, what's the best? Because wrestling is so subjective.
Exactly.
That's, I mean, what's the best is what is my favorite. I go to bat for WrestleMania 8 every time we have WrestleMania conversations because I love WrestleMania 8. And he gets so mad at me because he's like,
Mhm.
he goes, it is well-known knowledge among wrestling fans that WrestleMania 8 sucks. But not to me though.
Yeah.
And that's what
And
it's all about.
and as well, I was looking at trying to rank them as what is like technically the best match, what's the maybe the best in-ring work and the best storytelling. But guys, we're dealing with The Rock here, and he
Yeah,
has a formula. And when you watch
sure
10 Rock
does.
matches in a row,
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
gets really hard to nitpick that technical side.
Yeah, 100%.
Now I will talk about some of the technical stuff in my rankings here, but it was just going to be too hard. So this is my list based on what are the best rewatch in terms of like the rewatch factors here.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I'm excited,
So,
man. Hit me with your number 7, because your number 7 is the one
so
I
yeah.
know.
Okay.
I don't know the order, but I know what your 6 through 1 are. I know what the matches are.
So
I
he's
have to. But your number 7,
7, 8,
be
9, 10, 11.
it could be any piece of shit from the 5 leftovers. So
Okay, so
I'm very interested here.
here's where I'm gonna differentiate from you on that. He's got okay, so he has 11 matches.
Yeah.
I actually think that 9 of them are actually okay to
All right.
really good.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
And that's why it was hard. Yeah, 7 and 6 were kind of hard to go back and forth on, but I will argue that again, these matches you put them on and they are actually all entertaining in the very least.
Now,
Right? So let's start with yep.
to be fair, the match that I would have chosen for my number 7, which I'm honestly going to guess is what you chose as well. I have not rewatched in years, so I'm calling
Okay.
it. I'm calling it shit because that's just
Okay.
my phasey memory of it. But maybe it's really good. I just haven't watched it in years.
Okay. So number 7, we're going to WrestleMania 2000.
Oh,
It's Triple H
okay.
versus Big Show versus Mick Foley versus The Rock.
Yes.
I wanted to put this higher on the list, dude. I
I hate
watched
this
this
match.
last week
I hate
in
this match.
anticipating. Oh,
Yeah.
you don't like this at all?
No, I don't.
So I remember liking this match a lot, and I was
But
like,
I
"This is
also haven't
probably
watched. I also haven't watched it in several years
okay." And I was
because I
like,
remember hating it so much.
and I honestly thought this was gonna be top 4, top 5 because I remember liking the match, not liking the finish. I watched it again, and the finish is still dumb. Like so to catch people up, it's a fatal 4-way eliminate or not sorry, not a fatal 4-way. I gotta get the technical terms right here.
Yeah.
It's a elimination match,
Yeah.
and it's Big Show, Rock, Foley, and Triple H
Yes.
with a McMahon in every corner, which is the stipulation. Bruce Pritchard and Conrad just redid WrestleMania 2000. So if you have a chance, go listen to what they have to say about the match. And Bruce was like, I did not want this. He was like, I wasn't working on creative at the time, but I was not in favor of 4-way. He's like, I thought it should have just been Rock and Triple H, but they really wanted to have the Big Show inserted there somewhere because they really wanted to push Big Show as a main event attraction.
Yeah.
And then coming off of Royal Rumble 2000 and No Way Out, where Mick Foley had his kind of retirement tour in 2 amazing matches against Triple H, Vince called Foley after No Way Out and said, Mick, we're going to put you in the main event of WrestleMania. And I was like, okay. So it
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say it just becomes a cluster of a
Yeah.
storyline,
Yeah.
right?
It's a hard build to watch. I remember that. It's a very clustered match in general. Because not only you have now you have four men in a match, which I think is too much. I'm not even a big fan of triple threats as your main event to WrestleMania. Then you throw a fourth guy in there. And then on top of that, you throw a corner man in each corner. There's too much going on for me.
Yeah.
I would have loved it if it was just Rock and Triple H. To
And they
me,
showed the very next month that they could do it.
yes. To me, Big Show's not a big enough star yet to main event WrestleMania. Not in 2000, he wasn't. Not ever, to be honest. I'm not a Big Show fan.
He is a
I don't think
mid-card attraction.
yes, Big Show to me is not the main event of WrestleMania. Am I happy for Mick Foley that he got his WrestleMania main event? At least one of them, sure. But by 2000, he was done.
And he had his swan song. The Royal Rumble match and the Hell in a Cell match at No Way Out
yeah,
are amazing. Those are amazing matches, and they made Triple H. You're telling me he couldn't have main evented WrestleMania after those two matches? You're crazy.
so after all what we just said, what puts this on? What makes it so this makes it onto your list then?
Up until the end, it's actually an entertaining rewatch.
Yeah.
Big Show's only in it for 5 minutes, but he looks like a star. He takes out it takes all three guys to get him out. But before that, he is pounding on them. Like they have all three of them are punching him at one time, and he just shoves them out of the way. Classic big man stuff. And it takes a chair shot from Mick Foley from behind directly into a rock bottom to put him out. So he's gone in the first 5 minutes. Then you have Rock and Sock Connection coming back to take on Triple H. But then you have this weird turn where Foley turns on Rock. And then he's like, because then the story is Foley's going, I have to beat Triple H or else none of this matters.
Yeah.
So they try to take out The Rock. But then there's a weird spot where Rock is lying on the announce table. Foley jumps off the middle rope and lands stomach first into the table.
I remember
So
that.
like I think he broke his ribs, and then so Triple H has to put Rock through the table. Then he rolls Foley into the ring, takes him out with a pedigree. Foley comes back, knocks Triple H in the head with the wrapped 2x4 with the barbed wire. So he goes off with this nice big send off. And then Rock and Triple H go like another 15 minutes. And then you get Shane and Vince hitting each other. It looks like Triple H is trying to screw over, or looks like Vince is trying to screw over Triple H. And then you get the turn and and then he screws over the Rock. And it's just like, okay, that's where you lose it for me. But up until that point, it is entertaining and it is very emblematic of the style and the characters that kind of define that era and those 2 years, like 99 to 2001. Like
that was a clusterfuck era of professional wrestling. It really was. I look back, and I know people look so fondly back at the Attitude Era in general. I, on the other hand, don't for the majority of it. Listen, the Awesome McMahon stuff is gold. A lot of the Rock stuff is gold. The Triple H
Foley
turning into turning into
yes.
the game, gold. And everything else,
yeah.
A lot of my favorites of the Attitude Era is 98 going into 99. By mid 99, especially 2000, it's hard. It's really hard to go back and watch some of that stuff because there's too much going on.
2000 has some really good pay-per-views though. Royal Rumble 2000, No Way Out 2000. Those are pretty good shows. WrestleMania 2000,
no,
one match card with the triangle ladder match. Actually, Jericho, Angle, and Benoit is a good triple threat match. Even Judgment Day 2000 when The Undertaker returns. But again, it's like it's Rock and Triple H for the title in a Iron Man match.
Well,
And Undertaker
what
comes down.
what do you think
It's like-
WrestleMania? What do you think WrestleMania is looking like in 2000 if Steve Austin's not on the shelf?
Well, Pritchard and Conrad talked about that, and I think the idea was Triple H versus Austin. And then I'm like, well, what the hell do you do with The Rock at that point? Probably put him against the Big Show, I guess.
That
Like,
was my first thought was Big Show.
Yeah.
They because if they really did want to make Big Show into a star, The Rock is a star maker. He really is.
Yeah.
And he's proving that in 2024.
Yeah.
He's helping build Cody into this megastar right now.
Yeah.
So
Or you do
for
maybe
Big Show.
Rock and Angle 1-on-1.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, yeah. Again, it's a pretty good rewatch, and there's gonna be two matches that I left off here that you're gonna go, really? You liked WrestleMania 2000 more than those, and I'll tell you why when we get to that point. But let's move on to number 6. We are going 4 years later. It's The Rock and Mick Foley against Ric Flair, Randy Orton, and Batista in a handicap match.
I'm so confused to as what is going to be left off your list now. Because like I said, I knew, or at least I thought I knew, what your 6 through 1 are. So something there is gone.
Mm-hmm.
This is what I assumed your number 7 was. This is what my number 7 would have been.
And you don't like this match?
It was, to me, as I remember it, because I haven't watched it in a long time, it's the best of the shitty matches that were left off.
Okay.
It's better than, I do think, like, I'm glad it's placed higher than the four-way, because I do think it's better than that. It's better than WrestleMania 13. It's better than some of the matches that we most likely won't be talking about. But to me, it was the number 7. I haven't watched it here, so I don't remember it being better than whatever's not on your list. But with that said, I have not watched it in several years.
The knock on this one, it's a tad too long.
Yeah.
But you watch it, everybody in this match is a Hall of Fame talent.
Yes.
You got the two young guys in Orton and Batista alongside the 16-time champion in Ric Flair, going up against the Rock and Sock connection. We never really got Rock and Flair one-on-one. And I think, when The Undertaker took on Flair at WrestleMania 18,
yeah.
It showed how you can put a modern day guy in his prime against a guy that was considered past his prime.
Sure.
And I think you could have had that story between The Rock and the Flair at some point. We never got it. But
Rick did a damn good job proving that a few times during that.
He had a match on Raw against Triple H. His stuff.
Right down to his retirement match. His match with Shawn Michaels.
Shawn Michaels,
is legendary. It really does.
So, but the Rock and Flair showed us, they played off each other's histories a little bit. There was some good taunting back and forth during that match. The crowd was pretty into this one, especially when The Rock got involved. Mick Foley did a good job of selling himself still as kind of this like underdog baby face, and then he finally gets the hot tag to The Rock, and the crowd goes nuts for that. And I think the right people won, giving Randy Orton and Batista a win over these two guys in their first WrestleMania matches. Yeah, because they weren't at 19 the year before. So this was Orton and Batista's WrestleMania debut. And they get to beat The Rock and Mick Foley. And again, a tad long, just a tad long, but it's a fun match overall. And you sit back and watch, and you're like, all these guys are Hall of Famers. Look at the talent in this match.
Remind me what the build looked like on this. Is this the one where Mick basically had to spend week after week after week trying to convince The Rock to do this?
No.
There was a story like that they did, I remember, but I can't remember if it was this one or not.
This is where Foley comes back at the Rumble. And I believe he takes Orton out, or he just becomes a target of Orton.
Okay.
The build isn't actually amazing for the handicap match. It's a good build to see where they're going with Orton and Foley.
Sure.
because they have that amazing backlash match the next month.
Yeah.
But it's just one of those ones where Foley is basically outnumbered, but he's like cutting a promo and he's like, I got on the phone with a real good friend of mine who said he's gonna help me out kind of thing. And then he basically reveals it's The Rock, and The Rock shows up
Yeah.
and the two of them hit the
Okay.
ring, and that's basically the build to the handicap match. They
Sure.
didn't have The Rock around for a long time
No.
going into this match, so
No, because that was what year was 20? It was
2004.
2004. What would he be working on at that point?
I don't even know.
He had that tooth fairy money by then.
I think so. Yeah, I think so.
All right,
Um,
I'm very curious what your number 5 can be because
okay,
all right.
let's go. Let's rip the Band-Aid off. Number 5, we're going to WrestleMania 29. This
Okay.
is The Rock and John Cena for the WWE Championship.
This is
I
part
watched this
2,
one.
yes.
This is their second one. This is
Okay.
part 2.
Yeah.
Um, I thought the reversals and the false finishes were tremendous from the 17-minute mark to the 22, 23-minute mark, wherever the match ends.
Yeah.
That type of match is a little overdone today, or it had been for the last couple of years.
Yeah.
But the story was, I'm going to beat you with my finish.
Yeah.
And it is
Yeah.
entertaining as hell because the commentary team does a really good job of being like, John Cena cannot lose this match. Right. And again, I feel like that's overdone now. But at that point where it's like, The Rock is the WWE champion. So that's what he's got on the line. John Cena has basically his pride on the line here. Like, he already lost to this guy once. Like, he can't afford to lose to this guy again. What will that do to his legacy to
Right.
lose to The Rock twice? Right? After basically calling him out for an entire year with the championship now on the line. Um, it's it's a good match. They do a lot of back and forth. And it's honestly it comes down to two of the best entertainers keeping everyone on the edge of their seat for the majority of the match. Even though I knew what the outcome was in this one, I'm rewatching it going, is that the AA that puts The Rock away? Like I didn't know like it was entertaining. I didn't know which one it was that he was going to finish the match.
Yeah.
And again, I watched this earlier this week. I didn't think this one was actually going to be able to top a couple, but this basically moved from an honorable mention into number 5.
Wow.
Yeah.
I thought for sure it'd be in your top 5 at the very least. Tyler talked about this match in high regard just last week when he did his
You guys did, yeah.
WrestleMania rematches.
Rematches, yeah.
And implored me to go back and rewatch it because he says, man, no matter what you think of this match, it's way better than you remember. And
It is.
and I haven't had a chance to go back and rewatch it, but I do remember. I definitely did not hate this match. I like both their matches. This match though, I remember feeling good at the end of it, going, okay, they put the right guy over,
Mm-hmm.
and they did it without being like, okay, just get it over with. We know Cena's going to win. Get it over with. I never felt like that through the whole match.
No.
They actually had me feeling, holy fucker, is Rock going to win again?
Yeah. Yeah, there's some great moments. And again, this match shows that when John Cena wants to give someone something, he will.
Yeah.
Like he was selling for him, and The Rock was selling back for him. And anytime that Cena actually shows off how strong he is, like there was some reversals in that where he basically had to deadlift The Rock. I'm like, oh my God, like deadlift him into an A, and it's just like
And by
this guy.
this isn't WrestleMania 15, Rock. This is Rock's left bicep at WrestleMania 29 is the size of WrestleMania 15 Rock. Like
The entirety of him, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. So it's impressive, and it's again a lot of fun to watch. And yeah, this one surprisingly moved its way up higher into my list.
All right.
Okay, so here we go into the top four,
Mm-hmm.
and this might be where we really take a turn for you here. Number four, we are going to the first of the trilogy. It's WrestleMania 15, Austin and Rock.
Yeah, this is where I put mine too. This is where I put, and I rewatched the trilogy just last night, getting
Okay.
ready for this list. I rewatched the entire trilogy. This match, man, it's actually pretty good.
Dude, it's really
It's
good.
really good,
Like,
but it is a product of its time.
absolutely.
It
Absolutely
is
is.
a
But
product of its
without,
time.
I felt it was, but it didn't go over the top like WrestleMania 16 did.
Yeah, and well, what I guess what I mean by a product of its time is like I'm sure we're going to discuss this. Um, the crazy differences between this and their match at 17. Uh, where this match, it felt like you blink and all of a sudden it's over. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, this match was not nearly as long as their next two matches, but
And
again, a product of its time because it was go in, fight, fight right away, fight around the building,
mhm.
spot, pin, done. That and I'm not complaining. Like that's not there's nothing wrong with that, but this is 100% 1999. This
It
feels like a
absolutely is.
1999 match.
It absolutely is because they do these big spots. I mean, there's the first big spot is Austin takes a suplex clean onto the lighting fixture, that steel
That's
lighting
right.
fixture, and his
That's right. And
leg.
watching his leg bounce off that, I can't, man. Oof.
Then
And
he
knowing that Austin has those leg issues,
yeah,
it's hard to watch.
but then literally a minute later, he's back up kicking the Rock's ass.
Yeah.
Like, and then he takes a
Anybody who doesn't
suplex to
know,
the concrete.
anybody who doesn't know exactly what I mean by this is pure 1999. You want to know why it's 1999? Just watch watch the beginning of the match. Any match that starts with Shawn Michaels and Vince McMahon
Oh yeah.
arguing with each other. Then he kicks Vince out, then Vince comes back out, then leaves again, then comes back out. And I swear he changed the tires at some point. like that kind of stuff right there.
Someone
That's pure attitude era garbage.
I'm like, someone must have been having like a wardrobe malfunction backstage, or like they were just killing time because it was so unnecessary.
Because if I'm not
Like just
mistaken, didn't he came out eventually or originally because he was going to ref the thing and
yeah,
he's wearing his cut off shirt.
yeah,
Then he leaves. He comes back in a suit.
yes,
Then he leaves and then he comes back out in his cut off shirt.
yeah.
And then listen, I again, this is pure 99. I love McFoley and I get 99 was a year of everything was fucky. Everything was no disqualification. This is what I was alluded to earlier. They made it a no disqualification match at the very last minute, which they would go ahead to do in other matches. And then what happens to I can't remember how
So
they
I've
took it
got
out.
it.
How
So
Dave
I've
Hebner
got
take it
it
out?
written down. So it's actually Mike Chioda that starts out off,
That's right. That's right.
and Austin has a chair in the ring, and The Rock pulls him in front, and Austin hits him clean with a chair
Yeah,
shot. So
yeah.
he's out. Rock starts getting the upper hand. Tim White comes down. Um, Austin or Rock really starts beating Austin with the chair, hits him in the head. Tim White comes in to make the count. Austin kicks out. The Rock starts getting the upper hand. Uh, can't pin Austin, so he rock bottoms Tim White instead. Austin then hits the stunner. Hebner runs down. Rock kicks out of the stunner. And actually, JR and Austin sell this. Like, I can't believe he kicked
Yeah,
out. And the crowd
yeah,
did too. Like, it
right.
was a huge moment for The Rock to kick out of the stunner there.
Because you
Vince
can see
comes
that in
down.
1999. Nowadays,
Yeah.
closer.
Like, again, the difference between this match and the Cena match I was just
Yeah,
talking about.
you alluded to this earlier during that. these days, especially, you go back and you watch all those Shawn Michaels and Undertaker matches, or or Triple H and Undertaker matches, and there's 92 fucking super kicks and 86 tombstones, and they're all kicked out of. Where back then, you saw the stunner, the match was over.
Mm-hmm.
So to have in 1999 to have him kick out of the stunner, that was a big fucking deal.
Yeah. Vince comes down. They get Hebner out of the ring. Sorry, didn't write it down. I can't remember how that happens, but then Vince starts stomping. Him and Rock start stomping Austin.
I feel like Hebner also takes a chair shot.
I think he does.
Yeah.
Then Mankind comes down in the
Yes.
ref shirt. And
And this is where things get 1999.
and then he gives Vince a huge right hand, but then Vince is out for the rest of the match. Like, that's it. He's done.
He's done.
And then Rock and Austin go for another minute or two. And Austin avoids the people's elbow, gets out of the rock bottom, stuns him for a second time.
Yes.
And then we celebrate. And again, there's almost no rest in this. There's one part where The Rock does have Austin in a headlock.
Yeah.
And that's about it. Like, this is high intensity. And again, it's funny because, like, they're selling chair shots, but then they're recovering like they never got hit before. Like, again, peak 1999.
Yeah.
But it's a fun match. Again, high intensity, and it crazy that, like, they go almost 15 minutes or go over 15 minutes, but it feels so much quicker than that.
Agreed.
So let's move on to one of their other matches. Here we are, top three.
Yeah.
We are going to the one that headlined WrestleMania 17.
So I don't know if I'm happy. I think I'm happy. Okay. This is also where I put this match, and I thought you, among other people, would give me heat for this. I thought this was an automatic either 1 or 2 spot because of people's romanticizing of WrestleMania 17. I've been very vocal on the show. I don't get me wrong, I love WrestleMania 17, but it's not my favorite WrestleMania. And this match is not my favorite of this trilogy. But with that said, I did rewatch it last night, and goddamn, it's a good match.
Again, until the finish. That is honestly what does it for me.
This is what makes it not my favorite match of the trilogy.
Yeah.
Not my favorite WrestleMania match. Finishes do go a long way with me. You can ruin a great match with a shitty finish. And until the finish, this match was great. Austin himself has gone on record saying, I wish I caught an audible that night and stunned Vince.
Mm-hmm.
He says that, it was the wrong move. It was the wrong decision. Whether or not that's right, I guess time will tell that Austin's heel run wasn't great. But you know what? We got some hilarious moments from it. If we don't get heel Austin starting at WrestleMania 17, we don't get the great stuff between him and Kurt Angle.
Yeah, we probably don't get what.
We definitely don't get the what chant, and I don't know. Depending on who you are, that's either a great thing or a not so bad thing. But there's a lot of things we don't get. That amazing segment in the back when one of my favorite things Austin ever did as a heel, when Vince is giving the rally to the boys in the back, and Austin just keeps repeating everything he says. He's trying to break the
good. Yeah.
So good.
Yeah, it really is.
But it all started right here, right now, in what I call one of the lamest heel turns ever.
Also, because we literally saw this finish the last 2 WrestleManias.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, 15, Vince comes down.
Not so much 15, but definitely, but it was like 60. He turned on the Rock at 16 and then gets back with the Rock and then turns on the Rock at 17. And yes,
and then again, even in 15, Vince inserts himself into sort of the finish of the match. Like, it's like, and I don't know, it's like, do something different. And also, I was like, okay, you literally, okay, I know it was a late breaking news item, but you already put it into canon that you now own WCW.
Yeah.
For years, I'm like, why the hell didn't the Texas boy Booker T, WCW champion, get involved in that match?
Yeah, I mean, there's probably a lot of things that we don't know from the
Probably.
whether or not he could
But
have
I'm
done that.
like,
But I get
how
that.
crazy would that be? Two Texas boys
Yeah.
with the top two championships standing in the ring at the end of a WrestleMania.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I thought, um,
No,
but anyway,
and listen, I like up until the finish, this match is fantastic. Again, they go. It's another match where at the very last minute they turn it into a no disqualification. They go all over the building. They beat the shit out of each other. Both men are bleeding like stuck pigs. It's very entertaining match. My main problem with the finish isn't the fact that Austin turned heel, because I get the concept. I get wanting to try this. If I'm putting myself in the Vince McMahon's brain, I'm thinking, hey, what can we do to make this crowd go, what the fuck? We turn the biggest babyface of the last 3 years, and we put him with the guy that he's been
the
feuding
biggest
with.
heel. Yeah, his greatest
You know,
rival. Yeah.
these guys have been at each other's throats since 1990, since 1998. Now we're gonna put them together. What does that look like? I get the concept, but it was done so lamely. Like he's got the chair, and then he just kind of hands it to Austin. Like, not even like Austin just takes it and then smiles. Like it, he should have just like, even if he just grabbed it violently from Vince and then turned around and smacked the Rock, that even would have been better. But the way he just kind of takes it from Vince lightly, and then Vince is already barking orders at Austin. And if you're not, if you don't know what, if you're not in the know, you're watching this for the first time. Already, you're like, why is he barking orders at Austin? And why is Austin listening? There was some steps missed here. There were some definitely steps missed into the heel
Yeah.
turn. And then by the time you figure out, oh, Austin turned heel, you don't care anymore because you're so confused in why is this happening. Now, it was not the best heel turn in the world at all.
And they also miscalculated that Texas crowd
Yeah.
and being just like, they're going to cheer for him no matter what he does. So it also deviates from what they were trying to do.
Agreed.
But yeah, again, up until the end, like you can watch this match back 100 times and still be just right into everything these guys are doing again until Vince comes out and those chair shots are happening. But again, JR is doing his best to try and tell you what the hell is happening,
Mm-hmm.
right? And when you're listening to the commentary, it's just like, oh man.
That's another thing that kind of puts me not out of the match at all, but it makes it so this match is kind of lower for me. Don't get me wrong. We talked about this on the show a few weeks ago. I consider Paul Heyman the greatest manager of all time.
Mm-hmm.
I don't consider him the greatest color commentator. His commentating during this, I found myself missing the king. I wasn't a fan of his commentating through this match. So to me, JR had to carry 90% of this match. He did a great job, but it was all on JR as far as I was concerned.
That's fair. That's a fair criticism, I think. All right. Should we move on to number 2?
I'm nervous because this is either a match I really don't want it to be or a match I really want it to be. So here we go.
All right. Number 2. We're going to finish off the trilogy.
Thank God.
This
Okay.
is The Rock and Stone Cold Steve Austin for the 3rd time at WrestleMania 19. And this is The Rock's win over Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Completely fucking weird. Our top 4s are identical.
In sync? Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
And I'm so happy because I know you do have a special spot in your heart for WrestleMania 17. And I assumed because of that you would have put 17 the higher of the trilogy. I'm so glad you chose this because number one, I do think this is the best match of the trilogy. It's the best story they told because let's be honest, the build, as good as that match in 17 was, and yes, did they have the greatest promo package ever, probably. But
But it was, if you watched it week to week, there was some confusion.
the build itself sucked, but the stuff with Deborah and like, it was
Yes.
so stupid.
Yes. Exactly.
It's the stuff at 19. It was a great story being told. Knowing now that this is Austin's last match, it's fucking heartbreaking. You know what I mean?
100%.
We didn't know that yet. We didn't know that at the time. Knowing what we know later on, it's like, wow, what did we just witness? And you go back, and that's what I love with this match. I think a rewatch of this match is just as good knowing what you know, if not better, than
I
it
think
was
it
the
makes
first
it
time
better.
watching. Yeah.
I think it actually makes it better. For years, I was like, even though The Rock wins and he gets to finish, his story his way, he
Mhm.
finally gets to conquer, his greatest rival. I was always kind of like, meh, like there's no title on the line.
Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
like,
This was the first time this
like
story,
it
this
was
story
like,
wasn't about a title. This wasn't,
and
it
I,
was no longer. If I'm not mistaken, this is the first time two guys are facing for the third time at WrestleMania.
yes,
This is them finishing off the story, which is kind of funny because usually if you're going to finish up a trilogy, you're doing it because it's a rubber match.
hmm
So you're initially thinking, why do they even need to do this? Because Austin's already won the trilogy.
yeah,
Austin's already won the rubber match. Like there's no need for a rubber match. But Rock needs to get that win. Rock needs to beat Stone Cold Steve Austin
yeah.
at WrestleMania. And it's a beautifully done story, not only in the build, but in the match itself. And it's at the perfect place because this is one of my favorite WrestleManias. And this
19 is amazing.
this arena is just beautiful. And the outdoor atmosphere and everything, and them just I can picture them wrestling in this atmosphere, and it's kind of the perfect place for this match.
It really is. So, is the in-ring stuff as good as 17? It's pretty good.
Yeah, it's
Is
close,
it better
but
than
Austin,
15? Again, it depends on what kind of style like, but again, where these guys were in their respective careers,
mhm.
this match just again, the story and knowing what we know now, and again, doing this list based on rewatchability, it is so emotional to watch this match again.
And knowing that this is what 2003,
This is 2003.
so 2003, Austin's done. Austin's fucked. Austin's neck hurts. His leg hurts. His everything hurts. The Rock is done. Like the Rock, he might not be physically done, but he's mentally done. He's ready to check out.
hmm
He's not going to do this full time anymore. So you have both these guys. This very well could have been a Brock Lesnar Goldberg WrestleMania 20 situation.
Yep.
It very well could have, but it shows how much these guys, number one, love this business, respect this business, respect the fans in the crowd that night, and respect each other.
hmm
There's so much, and I think it was important for both men to tell this story, to finish this story as a
Yeah.
trilogy,
Yeah.
which is great.
Absolutely.
I'm
And
glad
again, just they both play their characters perfectly. Rock really diving into his Hollywood heel persona.
yeah.
And again, just the fact that Austin even got into a ring that night. My God. Like just yeah. So again,
That
this
which is funny because that's how I feel about, I know it's not Austin's first WrestleMania, but that's how Austin's career, like big time career, really started, was against Shawn
mhm,
Michaels at 14.
that's right.
That's how I felt about Shawn Michaels. The fact that he even got in the ring that night is a miracle because he had a broken back, you
Yeah.
know? And then jump forward to WrestleMania 19, and it's the same thing with Austin. The fact that
Yeah.
he didn't need to. There was nobody put over that night. Shawn Michaels had Austin. Shawn had a responsibility. Shawn had to put over
Yes.
the next guy. He had to make the guy that was
Or else
going
the
to be
Undertaker
there.
would have finished him off
Yeah.
like life or death. He would have killed him.
Yes.
Like
But Shawn, Shawn knew he was leaving, at least for a while. I don't know if he knew he was going for 5 years, but he knew he was leaving, and his responsibility was to put the title and make a new face of the company so he could go. Steve Austin didn't have that responsibility.
No,
You know,
didn't have to do. He did not have to do shit that night for The
already
Rock.
had, your Eddie Guerrero and Kurt Angle in their place. You had Brock Lesnar in his place. You had these guys that are going to be the future of this company.
You had Shawn Michaels coming back.
You had Shawn Michaels returning to the company, which is kind of funny if you think about that,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. Maybe Shawn just didn't want to work with Austin. I don't know. He's like, Austin's leaving. I'll come back. Okay.
Yeah.
So, and of course you have Jericho, who's going to be the future of the company as well.
Mm-hmm.
Triple H has been a face of the company and will continue to be the face of the company. Austin doesn't have to make anybody.
No.
So all he has to do is go out there and have a match with, I'm going to say, is probably his most, other than Vince McMahon himself, his most storied rivalry.
Mm-hmm.
Him and Rock, they go all the way back to the Intercontinental Championship days. They've been going head to head for years. So for them to be able to tell that story and finish off together like that, it is fantastic.
Absolutely. Again, for a while, this was like, for me, it was 17, 15, and then 19. And I guess as I've gotten older and just, as I, rewatch this match, I'm like, man, these two guys, like you summed it up perfectly. They didn't have to go out there and do that night, but they did for us.
And that's what I try to tell people about this WrestleMania in general. All the people who sleep on this WrestleMania and say, oh, okay, well, 17 is the greatest WrestleMania. Go watch this WrestleMania from beginning to end again.
The stories, the matches in this WrestleMania are great.
Don't sit there and bitch at me about, fucking, Big Show
Shooting Star Press.
The shooting. Listen, that's a small thing in a massive WrestleMania. But if you don't sit there and be like, Big Show and A-Train and blah, 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 blah. Okay, well,
yeah. Everyone has to have a stinker, like The Undertaker would,
And I'll throw you the gimmick Battle Royal. Go fuck yourself. Every WrestleMania has a stinker. I don't think there's a pure stinker at WrestleMania 19.
No, now, getting way off topic, but I think the one thing they missed out on that one is not putting Booker T over Triple H, but
100%. That definitely is a
other than that,
for another day.
It's like a perfect WrestleMania.
Couldn't agree with you more. It is my favorite WrestleMania.
All right, let's go to one that really I don't know how much we're actually going to be able to say about this, because
the return of Bob Backlund to the WWE and WrestleMania as he stands in the Sultan's corner. WrestleMania I love WrestleMania 13 so much.
Talk about a one-match show, right?
You say that, but it's my guilty pleasure. I love WrestleMania 13. But I love 1997. 1997 is my favorite year in WWE. So WrestleMania 13, is it perfect? No, by no stretch of the imagination. Is it fucking fun though? I think it's one of the most fun WrestleManias for me personally.
However, this match we're talking about is 5 years after the fact.
Yeah.
It's Rock and Hogan at WrestleMania 19 in Toronto Skydome. Again, this is why it made it hard for me to say. What's that?
Did you attend?
No.
Okay.
We, my dad tried. He tried really hard to get tickets, and then couldn't get them the day they came out. And he tried for like the entire weekend that they came out. Yeah. And the only time he got through, it was like, it would have been $1,500 for me, my dad, my brother, my sister to sit in the Hard Rock Cafe with like limited viewing. Like we would have been like behind the screen sort of. And he's like, not paying $1,500, like
not for that. No, I get it.
So again, so at the time I was like, oh, come on. But then, he ordered it for us on pay-per-view and we enjoyed it as a family. Like So anyway, this was the match of a lifetime for me. This was, and my dad was a Hogan guy. I was a Rock guy. Mm-hmm. And this was just that generational battle of two guys that were never supposed to step in the ring together. Mm-hmm. And and it happened. We got to see it. And I don't know if there's been a quote unquote dream match that felt as big since then as
Before
this
or
one
since.
did.
Yeah.
Just because, again, it was just at a time where it felt like they really botched the crossover,
Oh,
but were
100%.
trying to make up
Yeah.
for it. They were trying to
And
make up for all of it
this was the
in
one
one
and only
match.
saving grace. Like the entire invasion angle. Did we get some great we spoke
Oh,
about
there's
this
some
on the
great
show.
matches during that.
There's some great
Yeah,
in work stuff, in ring
yeah.
stuff. I was able to talk to Rob Van Dam about that, about how his matches with Christian are phenomenal during
His
this
stuff
era.
against Eddie.
Yeah. So like we got some great in ring stuff. The storyline stuff was hot garbage. They didn't get the names that they wanted to get. And then when they finally did get the NWO, and it's like nobody gave a shit anymore. So having this Hogan Rock match was very important. They had to pull this off, or else the last year of this WCW merger is almost worthless.
Yeah,
This is your payoff, and finally, and it did pay off.
it really did. And again, I'm sure everyone listening to this has seen the match a handful of times.
Ad nauseum.
But
I'm
you
sure.
can
Yeah.
you go back and you put this one on and you still get goosebumps, man. Like it's just yeah, it's one of those moments in time that thank God it happened and it can never be taken away because
Now you say thank
this
God.
was wrestling and entertainment at its peak. This was probably even better than I think anyone had any right to expect it to be. And again, 90% of that is because of the crowd reaction.
Yeah.
But again, like the feeling going into it is like this is WWE versus WCW for all the marbles here.
Mhm.
It's one generation's guy versus another generation's guy.
And to see
just
it, and to see that merger, to see that how it goes, by the end of it, you start seeing the guy we grew up with slowly come out. Hollywood Hogan wrestled the majority of that match, but then you start seeing small Hulkamania
mhm.
things come out, and by the end of it, it's weird that you almost expected his clothes just to magically
Turn
turn
yellow.
yellow and red. You know what I mean? And it was such a beautiful transition to
Mhm.
watch how they did that. I very rarely give Hulk Hogan credit. I'm not a Hulk Hogan fan, but
Same here.
he played his role perfectly in this match.
And they both did, I think, for The Rock. Like, look at his facial reactions to
Mhm.
being like, "I'm the people's champ. What's happening here?"
Yeah. Yeah,
Like, and then all of a sudden
the fact
going
that
like,
this should not be a 50-50 split.
"Yeah,
This should be we are in Toronto. We are in the WWE ring. I should be 100% backed up by the fans.
yeah,
But The Rock forgets he's standing in the Sky Dome, where I want to say probably at least 40% of that crowd was there at WrestleMania 6 watching Hulk Hogan versus the Ultimate Warrior.
mm-hmm."
Their inner child is screaming out because they're all little Hulkamaniacs.
And how many people? Yeah, exactly. How many people grew up going to Maple Leaf Gardens to watch
Exactly.
Hogan?
Yeah.
Right? Like, yeah,
Like Toronto was a great place to have this match, to have,
yeah,
the only other venue that would have been able to top this would have been MSG.
yeah,
If they weren't going to do this
yeah.
at the Garden, doing it at the Sky Dome was fucking perfect. It just made
Absolutely
so much
perfect.
sense. It was beautiful.
Again,
Um,
it's also again The Rock recognizing where he stands in the match, and then okay, I know everyone gives Austin and Brett all the credit in the world for doing the double turn because at the end of the match, like they start one way, they
yes.
go another way based on the actions of what they did in the match.
Yeah.
But I think you also have to give a lot of credit here to Hogan and Rock for basically reworking the match
Well, they listened to the
to feel
crowd
off the
that night.
crowd. Exactly.
Yes.
That's what I mean. They called it on the
Austin,
fly.
Austin and Hitman,
Went in with a plan.
they laid that out.
Yeah.
That was
And it worked.
that was done intentionally. That was done with purpose. That was done perfectly, 100% as it was supposed to go. WrestleMania 18 is a whole different story. That's a whole different thing. They were professionals that night. They heard the crowd. They felt the crowd. They knew what was happening, and they went with it, which is exactly the right move. They did everything right that night. 2 questions for you regarding this match. You said that you're so happy it happened and it should have happened, but it almost could have not happened. Originally, this match should have been Austin or Hogan Austin. Austin opted out of the match, didn't want to work Hogan for God knows what reasons. I'm sure he had his reasons. My main reason for not wanting for question marking that match is who goes over. That's a big thing. Rock going over Hogan makes sense because of the dynamic between those two guys. But then if it's Austin Hogan, that's a whole different dynamic. Questionable there. Who goes over? It's almost better that match never happened.
Yeah.
My question,
unless you knew for sure you were going to get 3 or 2, and each guy wins 1.
Exactly. My question to you, I suppose, as big as this match is, would Austin and Hogan been bigger?
Yeah.
You think so?
Only because look at what Austin did for the business and look at what Hogan did for the business. Like Austin brought it back, and you guys talked about this last week.
Discussed this
Austin brought the WWE
torchbearing.
Yeah. Austin brought the WWE back to the stratosphere. Like it was huge during the Hulkamania era. Then it came down, and it came down for a long time. Austin brought it back up to that level, and The Rock, I don't know if he helped raise it to another level, but you look at the numbers when Austin was injured, and they were doing record sales and record merchandise, and
just fine.
The Rock didn't bring it down. The Rock didn't bring it down.
I don't think The Rock did it by himself. I think it took a team to do that. I think it took The Rock, and I don't care.
Triple H and Mick Foley and Kurt Angle.
Exactly. Yeah. Where Austin, I don't want to say single-handedly, but goddamn close to single-handedly.
Yeah, I mean, you had Undertaker at that time, Shawn Michaels, yeah. But I see what you're saying.
He was to the late 90s what Hogan was to the late
80s, yeah,
early 90s, and then to what John Cena would eventually be. Yeah. That's why I said, and I stick by it. I said that you can talk about the torch bearing and Rock handing the torch to Cena, but to me, it was never Rock's torch to hand over. That torch goes from Hogan to Austin to Cena. If Triple H and The Rock were probably lucky enough to see the torch go by, maybe touch the torch, but it was never theirs. But if anybody but Austin was going to be in that match at WrestleMania 18, it couldn't have been anybody but The Rock.
Yeah. And again, the thing is, and again, I know it's more of a health thing, but 10 years after this match happens, it's Rock and Cena.
Yeah.
Not Hogan and Cena. Right? And again, I know it's health. I know.
Thank God.
But oh wait, did I say Hogan and Cena?
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's also it's not even Austin Cena, right? It's Rock versus Cena.
Yeah, well, both Hogan and Austin wouldn't have been able to do a program with Cena. Yeah. But Cena got his legends though. Cena got his Triple H's. Cena got his Undertaker. Cena got his Shawn Michaels.
Yeah, and you got to add the Rock into that.
And he got his Rock. Yeah.
So that's what I mean. Like I think it's everyone has their own personal Mount Rushmores and who passes the torch, but I mean. The Rock's been, the Rock has been the face of the company at some 100%.
And this is why I was initially upset that they changed WrestleMania, because I wanted to see Rock and Roman.
You wanted to see Austin Hogan?
No, Rock and Roman.
Oh, Rock and Roman. Oh, this year's. Yeah,
you know,
yeah,
for
yeah.
this year. I was upset
Yeah.
that I was initially upset that they changed the whole thing around because Roman got his Undertaker,
Mm-hmm.
Roman got his Triple H, but I think Roman's got to go one step higher. And I don't know if he's ever going to get an Austin,
Mm-hmm.
but he could have had The Rock.
Yeah.
And it was teased, it was given to us, it was dangled in front of us, and then kind of taken away.
Yeah.
We could still get it,
Yep.
but
Down the road for sure.
I think it's important to Roman's legacy at this point.
I agree with
I
you.
think it is.
But back to Hogan and Austin. I mean, yeah, that probably would have been and makes more sense to be the match. But the two guys didn't want to make it happen. So
Well, speaking of
we got what
the
we got, and
match,
it was amazing, and it was incredible.
well, that brings to me my final question to you. WrestleMania 18. I've said 1,000 times on the show, I'm a big stickler for if you are the um, Royal Rumble winner, you should be closing WrestleMania. I'm a big
Yeah,
stickler for that. If I'm going to make an exception, it's going to be
it's
WrestleMania 18.
yeah,
I
I'm
do
with
not
you.
think I do not think Triple H and Jericho had a bad match on that card.
No,
However, my
although
question to
again,
you is,
that was another one that's a poor build.
but
Mick,
well, yeah, with the stuff with
yeah, with
Stephanie and
Stephanie, yeah.
horrible. Had do you think people would think of that match um in better memory had it not closed the show?
Triple
If
H
we
and
were if,
Jericho?
yeah, if we
Yeah, for sure. The crowd was spent by
if
that
we
point,
were
man.
so burnt out from Rock and Hogan, people shit all over Triple H and Jericho. Do you think they'd be talking about it a little bit better and a little bit, oh, that was actually a pretty good match had it gone two matches earlier?
It probably would have been better. It's still probably not a great match.
Mm.
Um, just because again, it was more about Hunter and Stephanie than it was about Triple H and Jericho. But if it went on before, it's probably looked at as like, oh man, like
I think maybe they could have
Jericho's a
had a
main
better.
event guy.
They probably could have had a better match bell to bell. Because how nervous are you
After
closing
seeing that.
WrestleMania after seeing that? Like
And it's happened to Triple H.
it's almost like, yeah, well, fuck this now. Like we're not gonna, you
And
know.
it's happened to Triple H a couple times because he
Yeah,
also had to follow Taker and
that's
HBK at
right.
WrestleMania 25.
That's right. Oh, that poor man.
He did okay
That-
for himself.
yeah, he's all right. Um, but that's your list, man.
It is. Yeah, so
The only match that was on my list that didn't make your list was WrestleMania 28.
yeah, his
Um,
match against the first
but
one against Cena,
yeah,
it's good.
I don't have a problem. I don't have a problem with you leaving it off. I really don't. Uh, I'd really have to go rewatch that Fatal 4-Way to make sure that I agree with it being on instead of the Cena match. But if you were going to leave any match off the card, off the list, that's the one. That's fine with me.
Again, when you compare them back to back, the 29 one is more entertaining.
Mhm.
It's the 28 one, it's a little slower and it never really raises the level. The crowd stays hot the whole time, but Rock and Cena they don't it's a very paint by numbers match.
Yeah.
Again, I'm not saying like this was a
Out of the
hard
two
list
being
because
shown
again, this
right
was hard to leave off. This was hard to leave off. Um, but yeah, it just I find the other ones more entertaining actually. This one was just and I don't know, maybe both guys were nervous. But again, it just was like 29 I felt was more entertaining and you know, WrestleMania 2000 probably had the nostalgia factor for me than more than the WrestleMania 28 did. I did think about putting Rock and Shamrock for the Intercontinental Championship at WrestleMania 14 on the list. It's like a 7-minute match,
Yeah.
and there's some good spots.
I
Shamrock
mean,
takes a wicked chair shot, but then it's like he just comes back and makes a rock tap, and that is pretty much it. Like it is a really short
yeah.
but it's a hard hitting match. And again, talk about the style of the time. We wore onions on their belt. That was the style of the time. It's
Yeah, well, I mean,
very
this is an era where Rock's hitting everybody with chairs.
that's right.
Rock is a menace with that chair. That's got to be a list, man. Do you think like I don't know if anybody swings a chair like The Rock?
The Rock with the chair and the Dudleys with the tables.
Yeah,
And Mick Foley with his barbed wire bat. Like, if we're talking of
God.
guys who made a weapon their own.
Yeah. You have so many people over the years that have monikered themselves the chairman.
Yeah.
They use the chair. That should just strictly be The Rock, because nobody throws a chair like The Rock. Like that swing he has, it's sickening.
Yeah.
It's disgusting.
It really is. It
I
actually
mean,
is. But yeah, Rock and
anybody
Shamrock,
who
like
hasn't-
it's a good match. Like again
anybody who
for
hasn't watched his match with Foley at Royal Rumble,
uh
it's you want to watch some chair shots. It's not fun.
yeah.
Very uncomfortable.
Yeah. And then the other two that got left off are Rocky Maivia and the Sultan for the Intercontinental Championship at WrestleMania 13 and Rock versus Eric Rowan at WrestleMania 32, which is technically a match.
That would be two-time friend of the show, Eric Rowan.
That's right.
So he gets an honorable mention just for being on this show twice.
Exactly. So that's my list. Hope you enjoyed it.
We loved it, man. I'm so glad you jumped on to do this. Thank you so much for doing this.
Oh my God, my pleasure.
I hope to get you back on a couple times this year. We're going to do some fun stuff. We have a lot, a couple things from behind the scenes. We're going to do a lot of really fun things this year. We're going to do some really big things this year. I hope to hook up with you in July. Maybe we'll I'm hoping to get some of the guys together to go to Money in the Bank.
Oh yeah, dude. If you can make it happen, I want to be there. I want to be there for sure.
At the very least, we'll try to get some sort of get together going on. It's been too long since that Windsor trip, so
it really has.
We got to do something big. But
awesome.
Until next time, guys, that's it for the show this week. Thank you, Matt Sookram. And on behalf of WrestleMania week, because that's it, we're going home. WrestleMania is this weekend. On behalf of The Rock's greatest matches in WrestleMania history, you have been counted out.